Hello, fellow Factorians, and welcome back to my Pyanodons challenge run. For the last episode, we got hot air running with the better recipe. So massive biomass power plants are pumping out liquid molten salts, sending them through regenerative heat exchangers to make hot air. Yep, just plain old hot air. But very useful thing, reduces our coal consumption. However, that build didn't finish building. And it didn't finish building because I'm short on antimony oxide and titanium, and the products of that I use antimony oxide for. And that's because I've been making so much tidal power. Tidal power has been sucking down all those resources in massive quantities, eaten up the backlog of antimony oxide that I've had, and threatens to impact science because of how much it's drained out of my system. So we're going to be addressing those shortages during today's session, or at least starting to. And I'm going to be focusing on the future and putting as much of that work onto the train system as possible, rather than trying to extend things just in the science base. So it'll take a little bit longer, but it'll be work that is useful for the future, rather than just getting over today's problem. During the hands-off period, I was basically planning out a lot of that stuff. The biggest issue is not just building the builds for those new resources, but dealing with the byproducts. My train system doesn't have any way to deal with the byproducts of all that mining and smelting and basic oxygen furnacing. So I'm going to have to, have the science base and the new train base collaborate a little bit on some of that stuff, but a lot more of the work will be put onto the train base. Anyway, besides that, did a little bit of decoration, a little bit of monitoring what's going wrong with my base, etc., etc. Let's jump into the episode and see if I can fix my problems and not make a mess of things. Okay, well, let's do some preventative maintenance first, and some fixes, and then we'll move on to the meat of the episode as usual. First thing I want to do is jump into hands-on mode the second that timer was ready to go. Oh, we're almost at one full day of no failures, so I'm pretty proud of that. I do not expect that to make it to 3 days, although that is the goal, I think. Beat my nearly 3-day record from before. So first thing I'm fixing, I was making too many tidal power plants. Like, I don't have enough. I want more, but I was sucking down all the resources from my mall to make them, including, most critically, mechanical parts. Mechanical parts, I need to have them on the sushi belt to make heat exchangers and to make biomass power plants to finish up this build over here. And the tidal power plants were gulping them all down. So that was a big problem, and I'm going to check the belt with that circuit logic to make sure that I don't have too much demand on it, and then the tidal power plants won't get made. Next thing I want to do, I want to set up prioritization for antimony oxide. My antimony oxide buffers are basically all drained out. I used to have these caravan outposts completely full, but again, making all that tidal power as well as locomotives and things drained it out. So I need to set up prioritization here so that it continues to prioritize feeding my battery build. I'm going to do that and be right back. That's done. I'm going to steal some of these caravan outposts, including, crucially, the titanium, which I'm also going to kind of set up with prioritization. But I can prioritize it at the depot, at the drop-off, or sorry, where it's built, rather than at the depot. I couldn't do that with antimony oxide, even though it only has one source, because the antimony oxide has that complicated system of multiple caravan outposts that it's dropped into, with one caravan actually serving all of them. So let me go ahead and set up prioritization for titanium. It needs to go to rubber first and most importantly of all, and then it can be used for malls and making like the vitrolloy and stuff like that. So be right back. Next thing, and yeah, there's a large sort order of things I'm running off a list that tries to make it as efficient as possible to get through all these things. Next thing, I want to make some Digosauruses. I need to make 112 of them. So I need to make sure that I grab the right resources for that. I'll be right back after I've done that. I'm running low on Nixelit, among other things. So yeah, I need to make some more dig sites to get that taken care of. Next thing, I want to make sure that I have enough steam in my system. Steam and power used to be the same thing, but right now I do not. They're not the same thing. I'll be making power from tidal power plants, from my biomass power plants soon, and therefore I need to worry about the fact that my steam might run out. My low temperature, medium temperature steam from this system, if I keep knocking off coke oven gas production or other liquid fuels get sent other places. I'm going to make some electric boilers so I don't have that problem. All right, while I wait for the steam out to drain out of the place that I want to put those steam, the electric boilers, I'm going to take care of another little problem. Another little problem I've got is that I do not pass through enough tar. I need to send more than 1200 tar per second, and my valves only can send through 1200, whereas these electric pumps much faster, but I need to manually set up some valving for them, some control logic. So in this case, it was a top valve, which you can set up with a check valve and a little bit of logic to make sure that I fill those up. Oops. Take away the valve there, and now this should top up back up to 80, hopefully. Well, I might need to wait for some tar to flow down, but yeah, I think everywhere else I've got regular electric pumps running things rather than, yeah. So that should take it care of itself because my tar processing can process too much tar, it seems. All right, let's go down here and install the electric boilers and also set up some valving for steam because now I can kind of rely on other power sources rather than just my steam system entirely. And that's good, actually. The low temperature, or rather medium temperature steam, is kind of an inefficient way to get power in many senses, both UPS-wise and resource-wise. So it's good that I'll be able to retire this system, although I'll keep a lot of these steam engines around if I need them for steam voiding in the future. So let me set up something real quick here, and then I'll be right back. Got to make sure I valve these because they can be extremely power hungry. Each of them provides 8 boilers worth of steam, but it requires 25 megawatts to run. Even the idle power, like this many, is like a tidal power plant and a half worth of idle power just sitting around there. I'm going to also set up some valving for the steam here so that in case I do run low, I don't run it through my power system, and then I'll be back. That should take care of that. Oops, I've got some miners that, yeah, those are okay. I don't need to address those right now. Next item. So the next thing I want to do is teach my mall to make a couple of things. Also, I need to put a few requests in on the mall. So I need classifiers and antimony drills added to the mall. I'm going to do that and then be back. Okay, that's taken care of, although I don't have the tech quite done to get classifiers, so I'll just have to add that recipe to the mall as soon as that tech pops. I also need to clean up this. This is another drop chest that should have been added to the chest array of drop chests that I set up last time. Then add the fact that I can make those items to the list here, then I'll move on to the next thing. Got a spot here for one more antimony miner, but this is a very stopgap measure. It's not going to help much. I really need to put antimony oxide on the train network, and that's what we're going to do for most of this episode. Hilarious. I realize I put power poles throughout this whole thing and didn't need them at all because these are driven by fuel rather than by electricity. So yeah, that was just a mistake. I also want to grab one of these caravans. I'll need a couple of them for a little project in the future. So next thing, after I get rid of this ore that I've got in my inventory, I need to set up an antimony mining and processing area. I'm going to have the train bots do most of the work for me, but the patch that I want to use has some machines on it, so I'm going to clear those myself. Let me go empty out my inventory a little bit more, and then I'll meet you over there. This is my first mining outpost on the train network, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the planning for it. I'm going to do a certain amount of processing of every ore before I put it onto trains for a few reasons. First, in general, it's going to be a lot more logistically dense. Antimony isn't the best example of this, but the ore is stacks to 50. The actual product that I'm going to put onto the train, the grade 4 ore, stacks to 100, so that's already a benefit. And then it is somewhat, I'll put in less, I'll put in more ore than I get out grade 4 antimony, although the ratio isn't as extreme as it will be for many other products that I do. Here, I'm doing basically the same thing that I'm doing over with the original antimony setup. These make grade 4, and they'll pump it out to basic oxygen furnaces that I'm going to put elsewhere. So I'm always going to be moving some grade level of the ore processed up. And then when I move it there, generally I'm going to put it into a basic oxygen furnace or something else right now. In the future, when I get better processing recipes, they'll take over from that stage. So I will be able to use the existing mining outposts as is rather than changing them, other than adding beacons and better machines. So yeah, they'll be changed. But for now, it means fewer upgrades. Let's see what else. I'm also not going to overdo it on mining. So for instance, this only needs about a belt worth of antimony ore. So this antimony patch will last a long, long time. I'll be able to kind of oversaturate mining for it so that I do not need to come back and adjust miners very often. Also, let's see, I'm also going to turn the stone into bricks. Bricks pack much more densely. Stone is only 50. Bricks stacked to 1,000, and also the stone bricks is a little bit. You get more. You have more bricks, more stone going in your bricks. And I'm babbling right now. So it also lets me do a little bit of direct insertion onto a train, like this. The high pressure furnaces here will directly insert the stone. So one more step that is kind of inserter optimized. Same thing with the gravel. I'm going to turn that into sand. Sand is denser than gravel. And also sand is a much more useful product. So for a lot of places, I'm going to turn the gravel into sand. I might put some gravel onto the train network. It is useful for sailing water and making concrete. But in a lot of cases, I'm going to want the sand either to turn into something later for glass, I think, but mostly because for now I can trash the sand pretty easily. Yeah, so this is, I also will just put iron oxide directly onto train. Here's where I'm going to put my antimony grade 4. I need fuel gas and pitch. Pitch to turn the stone into bricks. Fuel gas to run the antimony oxide miners, except right now I'm going to be making the fuel gas on site because I've got coke here and I can just go ahead and turn coke into acetylene to be able to run all of these miners. So now I've talked a little bit. I've let the boilers boil themselves out, and I'm going to be able to destroy this stuff. Although it looks like these outposts are full of ash, so I'll have to deal with that. Anyway, I'm going to go work on that and be right back. All right, my train bots will end up building that out. I wanted to do that relatively early because I'm going to want to see that the coke oven gas that I just took out of the network will still permit my game to function. Now I just have to hook up the CO2 line. Again, it'd be nice if I had fuel gas produced on the train network, but since I'm kind of hacking it a little bit, not being too precious about putting everything on the train network right yet, I just need to get rid of that and also find out where I'm putting in this so that it's only a top-up. Let's find it. Okay, and now that is taken care of. I sent my train home, and I'm going to go home myself. Let's see how my mall has been progressing, because there's one more thing that I want to fix before I can focus entirely on the whole antimony oxide system. But it depends on my mall finishing producing the items. And it's done that. So I have been kind of underfeeding my manure system because somehow I got the ratios wrong and I didn't build enough moss farms. So I'm going to go ahead and deal with that problem. Assuming I've got everything I need, I just need to grab some moss itself. and then I'll go take care of that, and then we can continue to focus on making more antimony oxide. This might end up being a little bit of a long episode because I want to get all the way there if possible, and then come back and then see what problems I've left for myself. Okay, that's some moss farms done. I didn't need quite this many. This is just enough to force this build to run at full tilt, but I maybe could have made less og paddocks, so it wasn't as bad a situation as it might have looked with all those extra moss farms. I just decided to make 60 og paddocks instead of making 52, which would have lined up to like um, 4 rows of 13 instead of being a nice square or rectangle the way it is. Next thing I got to do is I had biomass spoil onto the line rather than just the floral spalinin that I expected. So I'm going to switch to mechanical inserters, or rather yellow inserters here rather than mechanical, because those give me 2 filter slots. Now I shouldn't have that problem. We got right here, I got a bunch of biomass that spoiled, or fluorospalinin that spoiled all the way into biomass. Okay, that should be done. Oh, I also have to take away these wires here that I'd set up as a way to control or limit the amount of native flora that I made. Okay, taken care of. All right, next item. Can't forget that I wanted to make those classifiers. And then I should have... Okay, I've got those done. I'm going to set up some power. I'm going to use those biomass power plants that are there for the hot air, but I don't need that much hot air. That build is built for a future date when I need much more. And instead, I'm going to leverage them for power for the moment. So I'm going to set up some high pressure turbines and use them for excess power. Now, let me grab some supplies and I'll go ahead and do that. All right, so here I'm just going to take some heat exchangers that instead of turning, oop, train, no, stop that. You always do that, or rather, I always forget to tell that train to stop doing it. You'll find a place to loop around and come back. So, as I was saying, I'm going to take some heat exchangers, and instead of turning the hot molten salt and using it to heat up coke oven gas, we'll instead be using it to make high pressure steam. That high pressure steam can be used in a high pressure steam turbine to each kick out almost 500 megawatts worth of power. Now, I don't need that much power, so I'm going to tie it into my power network readout and only run it if I'm running low on power. So instead, I'll be using excess molten salt, overflow hot molten salt, to go ahead and make a bunch of steam, put it inside of a tank, and then when I run low on power, I'll run it through all of these heat exchangers. And then that will create a massive amount of power whenever I need it, but for the most part, it won't be necessary. However, I do want to think about the future, and in the meanwhile, when I don't have the tidal power plants that I want, this can act as a good source of backup power. Also, the tidal power plants won't balance with things like the og power plants, so I'll need a certain amount of power plant, the non-renewable level of power so that I can balance off with exercising and tiring out my ogs. Okay. Oh, and it takes like 8 of these biomass power plants to run one of these heat exchangers, turning out the high pressure steam. And this is a 1-to-1 ratio with the high pressure steam turbines. I put an extra because I'm going to be storing off it into a tank. But yeah, this is a very temporary setup. In the future, all of this will be dedicated to making hot air. Next, as if I don't make enough hot air as it is. Next item, I'm going to go ahead and deal with a couple of the products that I haven't dealt with yet. Um, all the mining byproducts. So I need to deal with ash, bricks, iron oxide, and sand. This is where I'm going to deal with iron oxide, so we'll go ahead and build that out. So for iron oxide, it's pretty simple. We furnace it, and then I'm going to feed it into the nearby iron build through a prioritized splitter. In the future, I'll have to set up better ways to deal with it, but this will serve for a while. I'm also going to make these stations really low priority, so when I've got better things to do with iron oxide, the trains will take it there rather than dropping it off here. Iron oxide actually smelts really fast, so that's why I have so many inserters offloading off of just one train. Alright, that's set up. I pulled in a coke line because I forgot to put in a train station to deliver coke, so we'll just get it from that other build, and I'll have to make this a little bit more bulletproof in the future if I ever pull down that iron processing 3 build, but for now I just need to get my train out of the way and then go do something else. I definitely like my clockwise train setups. It makes things nice and compact and very squirrely and artistic looking. Also, I need to come back there and hook up some power. So busy talking and doing that I'm not actually doing much of the looking at what's going on with the system. Here we're going to deal with sand. Sand gets turned into 50%, 20 sand for half an iron oxide, 5% crushed quartz, and 4 gravel. The gravel jaw crushed back into sand and thrown back into these classifiers. These classifiers deal with sand extremely quickly, so that's why I'm confident that only one stop that deals with the sand like this should be plenty. I am going to put lots of stackers in so that I can deal with those byproducts, and it's why I'm not setting up buffer stations for some of these products, because I know I'm just going to have so much stacking for dealing with these byproducts that I don't need to buffer. I should always have a slot for those trains to get into. Maybe I'll add a warning here if in case this gets full. Now, ideally, I'd be taking this crushed quartz and putting it onto the train network to take someplace else, but I've got enough things to do today, so I'm going to just take it and put it into this build over here. I'm not going to be too precious about linking the science base and train base for expedient measures like this, especially since the quartz mines nearby don't seem to be feeding enough quartz to this build to keep it running all the time anyway. So yeah, this will be just fine. This is all set up now. I'm going to go back to the iron oxide build and fix the electricity problem that I left, and then go set up voiding of bricks and ash. No change of plans. I'm going to go set up a train bot drop off first. This is going to be where I take the antimony grade 4 and turn it into antimony oxide. So yeah, let me go do that. Okay, and this will build out this furnace stack. This is kind of an all-encompassing basic oxygen furnace stack, although I would like to have certain elements of it be tied into my refinery network. But right now, it produces all the oxygen it can need. It oil burners that off and then consumes that steam. Where I was rather tie the steam into the steam system that I'll have running throughout this whole refinery area. It'll be more efficient to share fluids with the refinery area and also use things like excess pitch to make coke on site rather than training it in. Here, the interesting bit is how much direct insertion is going on. So each of these has access to an antimony grade 4 train that is going to come in. Going to pull it off and put it into the basic oxygen furnace, and then it'll drop ash into a train that is lined up side by side. So lots of direct insertion there. The coke that is powering these is going to come on trains on here on to the left, and then be fed in by belts. There's going to be a belt with plastic on it up here at the front that winds its way all the way down through and gets stops right here, and then the antimony oxide gets picked up by a train over here. So yeah, that's a pretty massive build, but once I have several mining outposts to feed it, it should produce me plenty of iron oxide. I can also stretch this out some more if I need to, or build another stack. So that should be pretty cool, and I enjoy just how much direct insertion there is going on. Like even the quenching tower here that is quenching flue gas puts it directly into an ash train. Here's where I'm going to deal with bricks and ash. I'm just going to drop them into caravan outposts and put them into the science base because I have nothing better to do with them at the moment. I could set up solid separation for the ash and then do the thing where I just deal with those byproducts, but hopefully it won't have to come to that, and my science base can handle some of the extra ash that I'm going to be producing from mining, because it won't be that much. Even though I have set it up so that I can unload like a massive amount of ash, it won't be that much of a problem. And I can definitely use more bricks. More bricks will just mean that I don't have to make as money out of pitch and electricity. I'm going to set up a couple caravans here to deal with the with this stuff. And I also have set up some warning klaxons here that will tell me if too many trains are stacking up, which will tell me that I really am overdoing it, trying to put this into the science base. Okay, now that is done. This is just a depot for the 1x2 solid cargo wagons. I figure I'm going to need a bunch of those. I want to have a little bit more depoting because, for instance, once this build gets done, I will be having 36 trains sitting here or something like that. So I better put some into the network before I finish, or otherwise it's going to be complaining at me. And also, it'll just be nice to have depots spread around the base, so that when a train is called for, it doesn't need to run from the middle of this thing. I'll need to figure out where else to put some more fuel stops in different places. I will definitely be taking care of that in the future. Because I still have some more work to do this episode. There's so much to do. I am enjoying this, but it is a lot of things to keep track of, which is why I'm staring at a notepad full of, like, do this thing, and then do this thing, and then do this thing, and then do this thing, because it makes a nice route through my base, and then if I miss an item, I feel bad. Okay, next thing I need to work on. Next, I guess I will go ahead and add some more trains, since I did make that new depot. Let me go ahead and add these. Then I'll find something else to do. All right. Hopefully I won't get run over here, but I'm going to let that first batch clear their way through the fueling system and deal with the fact that this alert has been blinking at me forever. That's because I made a mistake here. I set this caravan up to grab the ash because I didn't have a way to dispose of ash in train stop network before, but now I do. And unfortunately, I had left this station unreachable, so the trains were constantly trying to tell me that I could not reach that station. Whoa, that was a close one. Okay. Now I guess I will wait for these last couple of trains to get fueled up, and do a couple of things here while I wait. Collected a few supplies for the future, but my train berthing yard here has cleared itself out, so I can put a few more down, and then I'll go back to filling my inventory and cleaning it out. hopefully those dump chests I set out work well because, yeah, I've been filling them up with the detritus from the science base. Yeah. Next thing I'm doing is adding those Digosauruses that I bred because, yeah, I'm running low on Nixelit. Although it's not really the worst thing in the world. I had like a bunch of conflating problems that all led to intermetallics being short. So I need for Nixelit plate over here. Gonna need to fix nickel, and all of those kind of helped my batteries not be short. So interesting that I had conflating problems that this time saved me rather than caused me problems. All right, this is fixed. Yep. So that should be enough to make more of the special Nixelit or antimony Nixelit alloy and vitraloy because I've been using up a lot of brakes and shafts and etc. Next problem is right here. I had been voiding ash from the system, from the nickel to this area where the trees were using up the ash, but I'm no longer having these trees made at all. They have been superseded by the tree farm on the network, which is great because I don't want to feed ash trees anymore. That's kind of a waste, especially since I'm making that ash straight from raw coal. But meant that my nickel wasn't running, so that's fixed. Next thing I want to do is set up a very, very temporary place to make plastic. I really don't think that I'm going to manage to get antimony oxide working on the network in just one pass. I think I will probably have messed up several things, but I'm going to hope that it's going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and this little train stop. I'm feeding plastic into the train network. I really should be making this in a huge refinery, but for now, this will give me a trickle of plastic and hopefully a trickle of antimony oxide. Okay, so now some extra aromatics should be showing up here to make plastic with. This caravan is very confused, but I do have some extra aromatics at least. As you can see up here, I am full on zinc, so now I can start depleting that zinc buffer deliberately, and it should be all fine. Next, I'm going to go ahead and build something to put creosote and pitch on the network. Be right back. All right, this should put both pitch and creosote on the network. The pitch I need at any mining outpost where I want to convert the stone directly into bricks in the efficient manner, and the creosote is going to overflow and be used up by my hot air build when it's available, although it's not causing any problems not to have it at the moment, or I mean, it just doesn't. The extra creosote is just treated as a benefit. So that's taken care of. You may have spotted that the liquid fuel station is much, much bigger. I'm going to use 181 trains or any place where I think I'll need a large flow of fluids, which is often be the case with a base at this scale. So I need to get those larger trains built up there. I also need to get these trains to get moving. Don't know why they don't automatically go to their fuel stops. The fuel interrupt should be taking priority, and I'm confused why sometimes it doesn't and sometimes it does. Oh well, something else for me to dig into. Anyway, gonna get these trains going, and then I'm gonna build a fuel stop for these 181. One locomotive, 8 train cars, one locomotive trains. So, be right back after I've done that. All right, this fueling stop is set up. I got to make some loop-de-loops to get out of here. I'll show you how it works after I send some trains over. It'll be easier to demo once there's some trains sitting there to show how it works. I also need to add one more building to my mall, but hopefully a train has made it over. Okay, cool. And you can see why this looks so crazy. It looks crazy because I like to make things super compact for just for my own aesthetic pleasure. But this fuels up by, oops, like I need to adjust a power pole. Um, this works by having the train, the 181 train, with one locomotive at the back and one at the front, loop around, make a circle, and each train fuels up on either side of the loop. Same thing for the one on the outer section. These are a couple of stackers for the longer trains to live in. There's four right here, and then one last line for it to get out. Like I've mentioned before, I think these counterclockwise trains give you this ability to fit in stackers even more tightly than you would otherwise. It looks kind of like an Android face to me, so I think it's kind of cool. But yeah, it's just for my own aesthetic amusement that I make them this tight. All right, I'm going to add the building that I need, evaporators, to my mall, and then I'll move on to something else. Okay, and that should take care of that. Why is a train complaining about no path to destination? It has no place to drop off hot air. That is understandable. Uh, okay, well, I won't worry about that for now. What else to do? What to do next? I think I've got at least one more thing. I do want to set up in a very hopeful manner a train station here for antimony oxide to be dropped off. That is, I feel like, a huge pipe dream at this point, but I might as well try it. Hmm. Yeah, I really don't want this train to sit here with a load of steel blocking this whole system. Guess I need to make this. This was supposed to be a stacker, but it is a very lame stacker, so I'm going to have to deal with that in the future. But I think if I just add some chain signals here, that stacker will become more uh, prioritized because it's closer. But yeah, it's kind of a lame stacker. I'll need to adjust this in the future. For now, it should be okay. Okay, what else do I need to do? I think actually I might be done. I'm going to go take a quick peek at the work I've done, see if I can spot any obvious flaws. Like I said, I don't really expect this to work on the first shot. I expect to have to do some debugging work, but hopefully I haven't broken anything. That's the key part. I don't want to break anything in the science base. All right, so manure is flowing. Batteries are being made. Missed a couple of power poles here. That seems to be my most common mistake lately. Oh, I do need to remember to go back to that 181 fuel stop and fix that power pole. This is not going to be running yet. I think I forgot to. Okay, yeah, that's a problem. Forgot to hook up acetylene to these. Okay, I'll need to fix that. But fortunately, I'll just let the bots do it for me. Okay, and that is fixed. Let me check the other build that I did for antimony processing. Yeah, another missing power pole. Let me fix that. Okay, and I've just fixed the power pole issue in the larger fuel stop. Now I'm going to put in a few more trains on the network. I'm not sure how many I've deployed this episode, 30, 40. It's a large number, and I might need to still deploy a few more, but I want my depots completely full so that as this builds finish up and the trains go fill them up, it won't cause problems with my whole train network. Okay, great. Yeah, I think I'm going to call it a session here. As long as science doesn't get screwed up, I'll be happy about it. But I'm going to get heavy armor and 2 more % ticks. And I think I'm going to go to copper processing next instead of. I would love to have personal roboports, but I got to keep building up the base over. And the blueprint shotguns make a pretty decent, for now, substitute. Although, yeah, I would love to have them. All right, let me look things over a little bit more, and I'll be right back. Mistakes. So I found that I could add 5 more trains into my network, so to make the depots completely full. And I need to add 1 more construction zone extender here. My build isn't quite covered here at the bottom right corner. I think I'm really close to finish now. I know I've said that before, but this time, actually, yes, I think I'm done. It's been a long episode. But yeah, I think I'm going to go into hands-off mode. Thank you so much for joining me for this extended dive into my own insanity as I build up these crazy builds. Hope you enjoy seeing it. If this gets done, I will show off the build. No, I still need to paste this in. Guess we'll wait for build montages for another episode. See you next time.